Well, my name is Rush Hill, and I'm not sure why I do this, but I am chairman of the committee of which this is assigned to. And it is a pleasure to welcome you to our March meeting. We are very pleased to have a great speaker today, and I think you'll find it educational. It is my distinct responsibility, what the script says, to introduce an individual that truly is a legend in his own mind, and that's Mr. Steve Rosansky, the mayor of the business community and the head of the chamber.
Thank you, Rush. Thank you, Rush. Okay, welcome to Wake Up Newport. I'm Steve Rosansky, as Rush said, President and CEO of the Newport Beach Chamber of Commerce. We've got a great program for you this morning. People have paid hundreds of dollars to hear this woman talk not too long ago, and you guys get it for free. So thank you all for coming. I hope if you didn't get one of those sprinkles cupcakes, make sure you grab one on the way out, because that was quite an investment by Newport Academy. We'll hear from them in just a minute.
Well, we do have a great morning in store for us, all things Newport. We're very honored to have our mayor, Diane Dixon. Diana was first elected to the City Council in 2014 and served her first term, was re-elected in 2018 and is now in her second term. In 2015, she was elected by her comrades on the council as Mayor Pro Tem, and in 2016 served as mayor. And now in 2019, she was elected as mayor once again. She's very proud of that. The reality is we told her she's going to do it till she gets it right. So, yeah, she's great at that. She has a very strong philosophy that she governs with, and that is a platform of fiscal discipline, of transparency, and the strange, unbelievable characteristic of being able to listen to both community and to business. And I think those are very strong markers for which to lead. In her background, before doing all of this public work, she had a 40-year career in leadership with major public and private companies. One that kind of leads the pack was Avery Dennison, a Fortune 300 company that is about a $6.5 billion enterprise. And at Avery Dennison, she was responsible for the company's global communications, government relations, marketing communications, corporate philanthropy, managing of the intersection of business and government, and forging connections among business, government, communities, and nonprofit organizations. Couldn't think of a better background to go into public service. She holds a political science degree from that small institution in LA called USC. And how many people here are from USC? All right, I'll speak more slowly then. Yes, well, onward. Sorry, I digress. She's married, has a nice family, married 44 years. Congratulations on that as an activity in itself. And her husband, Patrick, currently serves as special counsel to our newly elected district attorney, Todd Spitzer. So watch what you say. And Diana, please give her a warm welcome.
Well, thank you, Raj. It's always a pleasure to be here and wake up with all of you. I think going back to the DECA recognition, seeing the DECA students and the future business leaders here once a month, getting here at 7:30 in the morning, that alone is worthy of commendation. So it's really wonderful to see the dedication of our young students in our community. Well, as Steve mentioned, this is the continuing roadshow of the mayor speaking to the community, and we had the mayor's dinner on February 7th, and so I opened my State of the City speech with a little video that I'll share with you right now. Steve asked me to entertain you, so here I brought my entertainment. And let me tell you a little bit of the context for this. As Rush mentioned, I was honored and gratified to be elected mayor amongst my council colleagues last December. Truly a great honor, and I'm grateful for that support, and also because I feel that I could. Last couple of years, we've had maybe the last 4 years, have had a tumultuous political landscape in our local government, and as Rush mentioned, I enjoy a professional lifetime career of bringing people together, finding consensus to move something forward, solve problems, let's work together. There's a solution there somewhere. And this video reflects that intent of mine, is to work with all of our council members. They're all great people. They all are committed to representing the people of Newport Beach in a professional, dutiful way. And even though it was the mayor's dinner, I thought I should give a little tribute to my fellow colleagues. So if Ed showed me how to push the right button here, so I will push the right button. Good evening, Newport Beach, and welcome to Speak Up Newport's annual Mayor's Dinner. It's a fantastic evening, and I'm delighted to be here with you this evening. I thought before we get into the more formal speech-making part of the evening, I wanted to allow you to have a conversation with my colleagues. And my 6 colleagues on the dais are going to be speaking this evening in this video, and I'd like to share their thoughts with you.
You gotta go with sprinkles.
Nuts.
I don't like the chocolate bananas. Although there's money in the banana stand, I like the Balboa bars.
Oh, I like Heath Bar Crunch.
Nuts.
Sprinkles.
Mix the nuts.
Abraham Lincoln.
Oh, several. Winston Churchill, Margaret Thatcher. Those are good starters. Abraham Lincoln.
I really admire George Washington for obvious reasons.
So many, but I'm going right now with Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Abraham Lincoln.
George Washington, the founding father of our country.
Politically, that would be Abraham Lincoln.
Sailboat. Although at my age, now I'm a cruiser person, but I was an avid sailor when I was younger.
My husband's a sailboat person. I better say sailboat.
All 3.
I'm a Duffy boat guy.
I'm a Duffy boat person.
Definitely wooden boat.
I'm a Duffy person.
I read 6 newspapers a day. It's hard when they're not all hard copy anymore, but online. And I like to think I have a great sense of humor.
I was a teenage dynamiter.
I love singing opera in the shower.
When I was in college, I actually worked for ABC in a production of the Rose Parade. I was a gopher, so I got to do a number of things, including actually some of the floral arrangement that you actually saw on TV in front of the announcers.
I am such an open book. I couldn't think of anything. I really don't know.
One thing my fellow council members do not know about me is that I'm not ticklish.
Recently, walking precincts.
Hobby, meeting with people, talking to people, listening to people. I love it. I love the people.
Governing. City council, my responsibilities on city council.
Being on the water.
Watching tidal rise in the harbor.
When I have time, I walk. I walk everywhere. I used to paint. I loved painting, but there's no time for that anymore.
Reading the municipal code and the budget. Isn't that everybody's? Harbor.
Harbor.
I'd choose Crystal Cove State Beach.
The harbor.
I would choose the harbor and the beach.
I'll have both.
The harbor.
I was thinking about that. It was Paul Anka's Venus. I went back and listened to it this morning.
That I'll admit to, Bobby Brown, Don't Be Cruel.
I'm from Fresno. It was Alan Jackson's greatest hits.
Well, the first, there was no tape, there was no CD, it was an album. So we're talking ancient history. So it's probably the Beach Boys. And yeah, the Beach Boys.
Buddy Holly, I think it was, and it was Rock Around the Clock.
Jose Feliciano, I think.
Deja Vu, Crosby, Stills and Nash.
Accomplish what the people want in Newport Beach and work together with my fellow council members to do great things for Newport. We have a lot of big ticket items on our agenda, and we have a new general plan. We have airport issues. We want to keep our city safe and continue to make the city the best it can be. And we've got a great community, and I just want to work with the people together and with my fellow colleagues to be the best we can be.
We've seen in the last couple of years home values rise, crime fall. We're getting the budget surplus continuing while we're also paying attention to our long-term debt. But going forward, we need to continue these fundamentals and move forward with things like the Corona Del Mar Fire Station and Library is about to open. I'd love to see a groundbreaking on the Lido Fire Station. We'd love to get the ball rolling on a junior guards program. And then we need to do things that are very important, but maybe a little bit eye glazing over, like advanced metering infrastructure, Title 17 revision, general plan updates, and things like that. Frankly, we just need to move the business of the city forward.
I'd like to see a substantial reduction of the unfunded pension liability.
There are several. There's so many. I'd like to see our new general plan update be really innovative and help recognize how technology can actually solve some of the problems that we are experiencing. Traffic and the airport and overdevelopment goes with that. If we could find some solutions for those two things, then the overdevelopment would not be as big an issue. But we don't want to turn into Miami Beach. We want to make sure that we maintain the character and the charm of Newport Beach.
Move the agenda of the residents of Newport Beach forward, starting with our general plan that's coming up. Doing a good job with that and presenting my constituents.
I've got a number of priorities, but I suppose right now in today's scenario would be to establish trust and credibility within the city for those of us who are governing the city.
Well, as you see, we have a great group of colleagues who work together on our city council, representing all of you.
Diane!
Great individual people.
What are you doing here?
Well, how are you, Chip?
It's good to see you.
Chief, Fire Chief.
I just came by to drop a little subtle thank you very much for the very subtle thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you
For our
to
two new
all
fire
the
stations.
members of the city council. Thank you, and thank you for what you do. And now, what brings you here, Chief?
Really? Well, that's nice that we worked out these fire stations for our partners in public safety here. But, you know, quite frankly, man, we have some things to talk about too. We at the police department have got some needs as well. And I think with the two fire stations, the generosity that we've seen for our partners here, I think we can show some love to the police
What
department.
do you think, everyone? Should I listen to these guys? We need these guys. I want to make them happy. So, thank you for being here this evening. Thank you so much.
Hold on. I think I see the boss, Joe.
Oh, boss is coming. Gotta get back to work. Bye, Diane.
Nice to see you, man.
All right, thank you. As I was saying, I'm very grateful and fortunate and honored to be working with a wonderful city manager. Grace, thank you so much. How are you today?
I'm doing really well. I'm excited to be here.
And you've been doing a great job for the city of Newport Beach, and all these people out here many of them are meeting you for the first time.
Yeah, I've been enjoying going out into the community with you and working with you on your town hall. So it's been
And here's
great
the community, and we're here to celebrate our community and your elected office holders and our appointed city manager and our fire chief and our police. And we didn't get everybody who's on the city staff, but this is an opportunity to thank our staff members for all that they do for our community and for all of you working together collegially, collaboratively, and respectfully serving the people of Newport Beach. So thank you, and we'll conclude the video and then I'll proceed into my formal remarks. But I want to thank you, Grace,
for what
you're doing for the people of Newport Beach.
I appreciate it. And I'm going to get back to my staff too and get back to work.
Okay, round them up. Thank you, and thank you all. So we'll continue on now. End of video. Whoops. Well, so that sets the stage, and I couldn't be more proud to work with a great city council. And actually, I should say, since I'm sitting in the audience looking at former mayors and council members, it's just an honor to carry on the tradition of serving the people of Newport Beach with respect and courtesy and listening. And we're all here together to work together to make our city a greater city. Make Newport Beach greater. It is already great. So let me just run through a few things just to update you on the state of the city. As I said at the mayor's dinner, I am very proud to be able to say the state of your city is excellent. We have a strong city. It is well managed. We have a new city manager, as many of you, I think Grace has spoken here last month, wasn't it? Steve, where are you? She spoke yesterday or this week to other groups, so I follow along with her. So our messages are very similar to update on what's going on in the city. We have a great city. The financial condition of the city is excellent. It is strong. Not that we don't have some liabilities. Many of you have heard me talk about our unfunded pension liability, which all cities in California are dealing with. My message about that, a couple of things under the heading of fiscal discipline is like prepaying your mortgage. Wherever we can, we will prepay that liability. Our purpose is to preserve and protect those pensions. Our public employees, our employees have earned them. That's the law. We want to protect them, but we will want to deal with the rising liability which occurs when CalPERS investment strategies aren't as successful, so cities have to make up the gap. As I've been serving on the Finance Committee and chairing it for 4 years, and I remain a member of the Finance Committee, I couldn't be more proud of how our city management and my fellow colleagues work with great discipline and rigor to make paying down that unfunded pension liability in a disciplined manner and not eat into or take away from the continuing investment in our own city programs and services and infrastructure. So our job on the council, on the finance committee, in under the category of fiscal discipline is to make sure we pay our bills, reduce that liability, and continue to invest in improving the city wherever we can. And I believe we're doing a solid job under that heading of fiscal discipline. Very proud that the long tradition of the city is that the city staff produces, a city manager produces a city surplus, or budget surplus every year, and we take that. We can't count on it, but we'll take it when all the numbers are crunched, and then the council policy is to allocate roughly 50% to paying down our financial obligations, and then 50% to invest in neighborhood enhancement and improvement. And so that is a significant chunk of money every year that we can say, where should we put this money after we pay down our pension? Incidentally, I'm paying down the pension, which incidentally is $320 million. That's more than our general fund budget. Is clearly a priority. We have to pay the regular bill plus the prepayment. We are saving future city council members, this is future in the next 15 years, about $15 million and more, because we are prepaying all that interest up front and not having that just collect. And we're paying it over a shorter period of time, less than 20 years. Maybe it's about 16 or 17 now, but the goalposts keep moving because of the stock market. With CalPERS investment strategies, but nonetheless, we are paying it down and being responsible to do that without affecting or eating into any important programs or services. Speaking of the budget, we are now in the beginning, well into the beginning of preparing the budget for the 2019 and 20 fiscal year that will begin July 1st. So the Finance Committee meets twice a month in these months leading up to the period where the council will be reviewing the budget that is submitted by the city manager. And I know Grace has talked about her staff is putting together their budget recommendations now, and we as a council will be seeing them as we move forward. This is March, April, and May. All the public meetings related to the Finance Committee, study sessions, and the City Council from now, this Tuesday, in fact, through the mid-June, or probably the first meeting in June where we will pass the budget. this coming Tuesday on the council agenda, I think the study session, is the capital improvement program, the capital spending that is being recommended by Public Works. And so that is always a good discussion to identify our priorities. We are very fortunate as a city, as I've analyzed these numbers and participated in this number crunching for the last 5 years now, is under the heading of being well managed, because I serve on the board of the Associated Cities of California of Orange County, the 34 cities. So I have a lot of exposure to how other cities are managing a lot of their pressing issues, specifically the unfunded pension issues, and how in those cities. I just talked yesterday with a council member, Mayor Pro Tem of Huntington Beach. I know this in Fullerton. Other older cities, full service cities like Newport Beach, where full service means fire, we manage our own fire and police and lifeguard services, and we are an old city, and so we have, frankly, more retired employees than we have current employees, and so we're paying their pensions, and we should, but because people live longer, those pensions get paid for a long period of time. I'm already seeing in Huntington Beach and Fullerton, for example, just something like road repair. Fullerton and Huntington Beach are both on a 15 to 17 year cycle of repairing their streets, the city streets. Our cycle is like 8 years, which is world class. So we want to continue to make Newport Beach the beautiful city that it is, because it attracts visitors, it attracts homeowners, investment, and businesses to keep funding the underlying economic strength and vitality of the city. But because we do fund the infrastructure and projects that aren't really apparent, whether it's wastewater treatment lines and fixing our infrastructure, those are projects we have to continue to do relentlessly and not defer maintenance, thinking someone else is going to take care of it. So we are getting our arms around a lot of important infrastructure issues, which may not be exciting, but they're really critical. In fact, in the last month, our utility department has called me out to look at a wastewater line broke over in my district, in District 1, and we repaired it, fixed it, and that's all good. It's a 70-year-old line, and the other day you may have noticed on Jamboree and Coast Highway there was a lot of repair work going on. It lasted about a week. A main water line broke. And so we are an old city, and there are costs associated with maintaining the quality of our services and our infrastructure. But we're on it. We have a great staff to do that. Couple of issues that are key, as you heard in the video, that are really front burner and high priority, and there's not just one, there's several. You heard some of the members, and Jeff Herdman mentioned this too, and Joy, on the general plan. Last night, sitting right here, many of us, I see some people here this morning, we were here till I guess about 7:30. The steering committee of the general plan update committee met and is meeting to organize the mechanics, the details, the organizational structure of our general plan update. And as Steve said, it's going to take a couple of years, and the community, it is really critical. I mean, we don't show videos, but I will tell you, well, it is interesting and it is important to really have a role, have a voice in what your city is going to look like. And the last general plan was passed in 2006. Life has changed everywhere significantly because of technology, and whether it's going to be automated cars or driverless cars and new systems, or we need to imagine and envision what our city could look like and make sure that we do everything we can to prepare for the future as well as we can see it. We'll use a lot of consultants, a lot of forward-looking research, but at the end of the day, we really have to imagine what our city will look like. The reality is, and traffic is really a number one issue for all of us, we are a city that is a pass-through city, and while we have 85,000 residents, we have 11 million visitors and rising coming to beautiful Newport Beach every year, and that means our police and our fire and our lifeguard services, because they're really not going anywhere, or I'll say it this way, these visitors are going primarily to the beach, and keeping our beaches safe and clean and well managed falls to our lifeguards, where they make thousands and thousands and thousands of rescues and incident handling all year long. And we are proud of our lifeguards and our fire services and our police to keep our community safe. But we have this infusion of visitors, which we welcome. It's important to our economic base, but how do we peacefully coexist with 11 million visitors, primarily in the seasonal months from May through September, October. So that places significant demands on our city, and we need to manage that. And traffic is probably the number one manifestation of that. And also at the same time, east of us, Irvine and east, has exploded in population over the last 10 years. 3 million people live east of here. And funnily enough, they all like to come to the beach. So cars are coming into our community from the east, from north to south as they traverse the coast. And all residents feel the brunt of all that. And how do we manage that? And technology and traffic lights, synchronization, various kinds of things. We can't stop it from coming. We just have to manage it. And in a way that works for us. We want to be welcoming, but we want to manage it in a responsible way. Our general plan is part of that. I really can't say it strongly enough that seeing people here last night, there are more than a handful of people here. George Leslie was here, and a number of folks, just to be part of thinking about our future and what kind of city you want. This phase, the steering committee, is really just getting it cranked up, getting the process cranked up. The second phase will be the composition of our general plan update committee or advisory committee. There'll be about 25 to 30 members of the community, and we'll be having meetings all over the city. We estimate could be over 50 meetings, certainly in every district, every neighborhood, community center. The whole point is engage the community. We want to hear from you. Take notes. We want to take notes and listen to all different points of view, and that's critical to defining our future. And this will all be manifested in a final general plan update. I don't think we're going to redo the entire this thick general plan document. The housing element, it's divided into several different parts. The housing is really critical. And many of you may read what's going on in Sacramento, housing shortage in the state, affordable housing. We as a city, just so you know, there's been a lot in the newspapers about cities who fail to meet their affordable housing requirements. Our city is in compliance. The state of California is not going to be suing Newport Beach. Based on our current requirements, we are meeting and exceeding those requirements. But going forward, we anticipate, because of the statewide housing shortage, there will be new requirements. We know that will be the case. We'll hear those numbers in about 18 months, where we have to find a place to put, perhaps city staff thinks it could be 1,000 more units, possibly. Where do we put those units? We look at the airport area, how to make the airport area really a dynamic live, work, play environment. That could really be a dynamic improvement for that area, and coupled with affordable housing. We do have affordable housing under construction in our city now, which is good. It's just, I guess it cannot be enough. I will say that the state, the good news and the bad news about housing shortages in the state and the cost of living, we as a city council are really, sad to say, powerless on some of this. It's the state that, under a new legislature that is really determined to tell cities what to do, and we're local control. And this is not a political statement. This is just the reality of what can city councils really do. We have to follow the rules and follow the state mandates. So I actually, a little bit tongue-in-cheek, say to people who are upset about whatever the issues are, many of them are coming from mandates from Sacramento, and being in touch with what's going on in Sacramento, being aware of that, I think is really critical as we go forward, particularly on some of these requirements and mandates that will be linked to other transportation funds. Cities, you must build X number of affordable housing units before you're going to get any of your state funds for Coast Highway road repair, because most of Coast Highway is a state highway. Anyway, that's into the weeds, but we have to be aware of what's going on in Sacramento, because it definitely has an impact on how we run our city. part of the general plan, but also ongoing. We mentioned that our new harbor master, Kurt Borstein, is here, and we have a new harbor department, which was a significant addition to our organizational structure to bring together all the disparate harbor-related functions into a single department. So it's really exciting. Kurt, you haven't been here 6 months yet, have you? No, well, so it seems like probably 6 years, but there's a lot to do. We have our harbor is probably our most significant economic resource. There was an economic study we did about a year or two ago where identified the trickle-down impact of the harbor is close to $1 billion in supporting not only marine services, harbor-related services, visitor services, restaurants, businesses. There's almost $1 billion of economic activity that derives from our harbor. We want to continue to invest in that, whether that's clean water, clear passages, and making sure our visitors feel well served. And we have a beautiful marina park that serves our visitors very well and can probably continue to improve on that. But we welcome Kurt. I've said that before publicly. It's really great to have organized our harbor and get control of that. Aviation, I'm looking at Jeff Herdman because he's chairman of our aviation committee, and he is a busy guy. Let me talk a little bit about airplanes. All of you know we all live under the flight paths of John Wayne, so this has been a fact of life in Newport Beach for decades. What is happening and why we are reactivating, or not reactivating, restructuring our aviation committee, because that is really going to be center one, ground zero, I guess I would say, of all of our aviation airport related issues, and they primarily relate to quality of life, how the planes take off out of John Wayne, what is their flight path. We're working with the carriers to go higher and faster out of our sound space quicker, and then dealing with the resultant pollution from the jet engines. So it's not just flight paths, it's the airport itself, and kind of quietly the airport, and then the airport is a partner with the city as well as certainly it's a county operation. They want to expand. So this tension is a natural tension that is being created about protecting Newport Beach's quality of life. And I don't say that as just a nice thing. It is significant. Our quality of life creates the economic engine that supports a great deal of our county's activities. The property assessed values in Newport Beach, because it's a desirable place to live and work and invest, is the second highest assessed value contribution, property taxes, to the County of Orange. All of you who own a home or property contributing about $586 million of that assessed value goes into the Orange County Treasurer, and then that goes out to education, health services, social services, infrastructure that the county manages. We are really, really important. The city of Newport Beach is very important to the economic strength of the county. That is our argument to those in the county who think it would be a nice thing to do to expand the airport, because if you expand the airport with more flights, more noisier flights, more pollution raining down on our city, that will affect our quality of life and our property values. We're connecting the dots on that economic argument. We're speaking with our elected representatives at the county level, and Michelle Steele, our supervisor, is 100% sympathetic to us and is an advocate for Newport Beach to protect what we have. But it is a natural tension that is going to exist because some people want to expand the runways or expand the airport, bring in more not only commercial jets, but they're looking, right as I talk about this, the County Board of Supervisors is looking to expand the general aviation portion of the air service that comes into John Wayne and expand the footprint of the corporate jets. So it's a never-ending, it's never quiet, I should say, and the neighborhood groups are critical. We have 3 active neighborhood groups that represent different parts of underneath the flight path. We are united. Talk about bringing the people together. The community is united to defend our quality of life, and thanks to the neighborhood groups that are loud and vocal about this, are really important to this process. So under Jeff's leadership, we are getting all this pulled together. We're becoming advocates at the local level, at the Board of Supervisors level, and in Washington, dealing with our congressional representatives, because that's where the FAA is influenced. So we're coming at this from a number of, surrounding the issue, literally, and we're not going to be quiet about it. And you'll be hearing more. And our city staff, the communications coming from the city staff will be informing our community and proactively. We have been doing this for the last year, but even stepping that up. So it's really, really critical to all of us and our quality of life. I talked about the general plan, so that's started, and starting in about July, just to remind everyone, the listen and learn section we call, that's when the community is really going to get involved, and the committee will be going around all around the city listening and learning, and that will be starting mid-year. And I think Steve walking up here, let me say, major capital projects, let me just mention, we have the Corona Del Mar Fire and Library, that's coming on board faster and under budget. We'll be dedicating that sooner than we thought, probably before late spring. The Lido Fire Station moving forward. Junior Lifeguard, Will mentioned that on his video. That will be a public-private partnership. The lecture hall for the Central Library, that's coming before in part of the capital update next Tuesday. That's possibly going to be very exciting, where meetings just like this could be in a lecture hall where the seating arrangements are enhanced for presentations, and that will be a really strong asset for the city. So I guess that's it, and Steve's telling me, giving me the hook here. I just want to just end on a couple of thoughts. This is a wonderful city. That's why we're all here. I don't have to tell you that. I am honored to be your mayor. I am here to serve you. It is the greatest honor to represent a city where the residents and citizens truly care and engaged about what is going on. And I can't thank you enough, I guess, to the honor to serve all of you and to be here for you. So with that, I want to thank you. Thank you for coming this morning. And thank you, Rush. Okay.
Well, I hope you have a good feeling of the complexity it takes to run a city like Newport Beach. The fact that you hear that we're a full-service city is really an important fact, because when you see comparisons of Newport Beach with other communities, they never seem to recognize the fact that we have our own police department, we have our own fire department, we have our own marine department, we have the harbor that we take care of. We also have the library system that is the second largest attraction in Newport Beach, over 1 million visitors a year to our libraries, award-winning library. And so we carry the burden and the pleasure of all of those items that make up our quality of life. So thank you to our mayor and to our council people that give us that direction. Now I'm afraid to look. Is someone to my left? It's sadly part of the script. But I am now extremely pleased to see if I could bring back to the lectern, it has been a pretty short meeting, Mr. Rosansky.
Thank you, Rush. Thank you, Mayor Dixon. Great program. Obviously, a dynamic city, lots of things going on, and thank you for your leadership. And I'll mention Deborah Wells. Raise your hand, Deborah. Deborah is in charge of sales for our business, Newport Beach. Magazine comes out in September, but we've already started the sales for that. So if you're interested in advertising that, see Deborah. And I think I pretty much covered everything. So have a great rest of the month. We'll see you at Wake Up Newport. Oh, that's it. Fun thing I forgot. Next month, Wake Up Newport. Our guest speaker is Daryl Johnson. He's the director of the Orange County Transportation Authority. So if you have any questions about transportation in the county, he's the one to ask. Have a great week.